Hi there, I am the Fairy Frog Queen, and today we are going to be doing an archetype reading for my friend here. Hi. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to go through Caroline Mace's archetype cards one by one and see what resonates with my friend, and we're going to separate them into piles and then narrow it down to 12 main archetypes. Maybe it might be a separate video, but maybe we will do sorting your 12 main archetypes into your 12 houses of the zodiac, because that's really fun too. But it takes a long time, so we're just gonna have fun with it here. And we both did our nails today, and I cut my finger opening cardboard box, which is why I have a band-aid. So we have the book here in case we need to look anything up. So here we go. Let's give them a shuffle. I really like shuffling these like big oracle decks because you can shuffle them sideways like that.
Yeah.
And it's satisfying.
Definitely.
There is this deck I really love. I've had it for years, and part of what I love about it is that it comes with blank archetype cards that you can write in your own and like draw on. So I put Princess in this deck because she has Prince, but she doesn't have Princess. She has Damsel, which is supposed to sort of like encompass that energy, but I think Princess and Damsel are two very different energies, which I've been told is very princess of me.
And that's the way it should be. So
yeah, we're gonna have one handmade card in here. One more. I'm not good at shuffling, but it's fun, so it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
But here we go. Oh, we got a good one. Okay. I actually forgot a couple things. We'll go through them as we go, because there are archetypes. I probably should have started with this, but archetypes, if you don't know what they are figures and characters and stories that we see over and over again in mythology and media throughout all of history and across all cultures, like the king and princess and like god, goddess, the fool, things that are like, we see them in stories across everywhere, and their energy and what they represent can sort of like help us through different times in our lives or help us understand ourselves and each other more. Plus it's fun. It's like,
yeah,
like putting different colored rocks into buckets.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we do with stories as humans, right? Is it's all filtering and sharing what we think about life. And so those reoccurring characters you can relate to.
Yeah. Do you mind if I read them out loud, or do you want to go through them yourself?
Oh. You can read them out loud.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since I'm facing the cameras
No
this way.
worries.
Okay. I didn't think about that part, but okay. So let's do yes here, no here, and maybe in the middle.
Okay.
Shapeshifter. And if anyone wants to, comment your archetypes that you relate to down below. Like if you see the card and you're like, whoa, that's totally me, I would love to hear it, because this is definitely a like, oh, that's me kind of card. Okay. Light attribute. Skill at navigating through different levels of consciousness. Ability to see the potential in everything. Shadow. Projecting any image that serves your personal agenda in the moment. How you feel?
I gotta
Yeah.
vibe it.
Totally. And don't worry about like taking too much time, because I can edit long silences out.
Okay, perfect.
I want it to be authentic.
I think maybe. Definitely maybe.
Cool. Nature child. So there's a couple different child cards in this deck. Everybody has a little bit of every archetype, because that's how humans are. But everybody has a big child archetype. And there's a couple different ones that you might vibe with one over the other. But let's see. Nature child. Friendships with animals, communication with nature spirits. Tendency to abuse animals, people, and the environment.
No.
Yeah. What do we say? No over here? Okay.
I love nature through a window.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that really hard. Like we were vibing with the glass door that you can see the light coming through open, and then my eyes started to get itchy because I'm allergic to it. I love nature. I'm allergic to it. Mother. Nurturance, patience, unconditional love, joy in giving birth to life. Okay.
Yeah.
Shadow is smothering or abandoning children, instilling guilt in children for becoming independent.
Tell me more about the light versus the shadow. Is
Yeah.
that like the different sides of that kind of, when you're in that archetype, like these are kind of the dualities of it, or?
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, everything has duality. It's two sides of the same coin. So it's not good or bad.
Right.
Because everything is fluid. It's like, what am I trying to say? Okay. An example that I really like to explain light and shadow is, especially for nature child, the shadow attribute is so intense. Like, no one wants to admit that they abuse animals, right? Because that sucks. But I would say a really good example of a shadow nature child is like a poacher.
Yeah.
So they have an appreciation for nature and knowledge and skill, and they spend a lot of time in the wild. But there's the shadow part of like, maybe you shouldn't be hunting that particular animal.
Yeah.
But it is really hard to explain, like the light and dark of things, where it's like shadow doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just means it's the thing that that doesn't get shined on, like they don't shed a lot of light on. It's the shadow is like things that are maybe less accepted by society or by you. Thief. Light attribute. Sheds light on the potential wealth within you that can never be stolen. Shadow is stealing money, creative ideas, affection, or other powers you think you lack. I kind of like handing it to you.
Yeah. I think the imagery, like it'll call to you, you know?
Yeah, the art is so evocative on these cards. And it's very diverse. Everybody looks like a little different.
Yeah. I'm going to go with yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
A mother thief so far. That's very interesting.
Oof.
So this is my handmade princess card.
Yay.
I didn't write any light attributes down, or shadow. Let's see. Let's talk about it. Light attribute of a princess would be, I mean, we see it in Disney. Like, princess is a very big archetype in our society.
Right.
Probably mostly from Disney. So we know that she's kind. She is feminine, whether or not she identifies as a woman. A princess has femininity versus like a prince, which is more masculine. But we talked a little bit last night about how princess and prince are very gender fluid, because like a lot of princess stories, especially Shakespearean, the princess dresses up as a boy and disguises herself as a boy to like do an adventure, and then a prince story is usually about him falling in love and being very vulnerable and romantic, which is a more feminine trait. So I really like princess archetypes because of that gender fluidity.
Yeah.
So you could say that's one of the attributes. Shadow would be maybe prideful, and like cold, and then like naive, like too innocent.
That's going in the maybe.
Oh, right.
We talked about that yesterday, and I've been like, that's been in my mind, like, I personally identify as non-binary, so like. Me
too.
Yeah. I have always been in like that, like I feel both sides of it really heavy, but particularly about princesses, they're very like, right, the oppression is part of it, like,
yeah, they have to like prove themselves,
exactly, and that I resonate with that of like, okay, you said I can't do this, but I'm going to find a way, and I believe in myself enough to get this done. So
there's usually also a king or queen archetype if there's going to be a princess that like you have to like overcome or like rebel against. I'm thinking of Tangled a lot.
Love that movie.
It's really good. Okay, next one is a liberator. Freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. Shadow. Imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate, ignoring legitimate constraints. Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is queen. So comparing princess and queen, queen is more powerful, a more mature archetype, and like more powerful means that like the consequences of the queen's actions have more of an impact than a princess's would.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Light attribute. Radiates the regal feminine, uses her benevolent authority to protect others. Shadow. Becomes arrogant when authority is challenged, controlling, and demanding. I'll let you look at it.
I'm going to put it in the maybe.
Okay.
I feel like I'm going to have to go through these again. It's definitely
for
calling,
sure.
But, like, not quite sure yet.
Yeah, at the end we will go through all of them again, except the no pile, because we already know. Okay. Visionary. Capacity to envision what is not yet conceivable to others. Willingness to proclaim a vision without regard for personal gain. Shadow. Selling insights to the highest bidder, compromising your vision to make it more acceptable. I love handing it to you.
Yes.
I really like this purple blanket, but it gets like marks
grain
on it. Yeah.
Also in the maybe.
Okay. Vampire. Makes you aware that someone or something is draining your life force, depleting others for your psychic survival, chronic complaining, and codependency. Something we also talked about with a vampire is that, do vampires come in through the kitchen window? No, they come in through your bedroom. They are sexy.
Yes.
And you have to let them in. Like, they need your consent.
Right.
So it's not like a bully or like...
Exactly, yeah.
The victim of the vampire has to allow them in. So I would add like seduction or sensuality to, and also do they bite your like, they bite your neck, like
they're
it's sexy.
They're here for it.
Twilight was right.
Stop. Okay. I'm gonna go with no.
Also, no judgment for any like, if like a vampire, I would say, has a more negative connotation in society,
Right.
unless you're talking about like Twilight, sexy young
Sexy,
adult
sparkly.
vampires. But like no judgment for if resonating with any of these archetypes, because like I said earlier, everyone has a little bit of everything.
I definitely wish I had some more of this. I am painfully unaware sometimes of things like
Of
that.
vampires, you're more like the damsel or the princess that lets them in.
Exactly. I am much more likely to be the one that's like, it's okay, come on in, we're gonna be fine.
You're so glamorous. Okay. Pioneer. Passion for doing and creating what has not been done before. Compulsive need to keep moving on. Yep, me too. Can't stop making new things and like leaving old things behind.
But do I ever finish the old things, or do I just drop them and be like, I'm done with this now?
Hedonist. I love this art. Look at her.
Yes.
Inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life. Celebrates the beauty in yourself. Shadow. Pursues pleasure to the detriment of health. Indulges at the expense of others. Taurus.
I wish. I
Really?
want some more of that energy in me, but I really...
This is one of my
I'm
main
not.
12.
Yeah?
Me and Joey's, yeah.
Oh, I knew that.
Okay. Servant. Delight in serving others with a free and loving heart, using the lack of money as an excuse not to move forward in life. Yep. My servant, a lot of theater artists, we both went to theater school,
Yes.
Which is where I learned about all of this. A lot of theater artists have servant, especially the non-acting side of it.
Hi, hello.
Yeah.
You have to. If you can't, like, that was the thing I hated about being an actor, was people wanting to, like, talk to me about it afterwards. As a techie, you don't know who I am. You didn't look at my name in the playbill even. Like, I get to be in the corner and do the thing.
I'm here with your water bottle and your towel.
Yep.
My servant comes out whenever I'm working a job.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if I let any other archetype come forward, I will start a union.
That's a great thing.
Yeah, I should lean into that more. Alchemist. Transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. Shadow. Misuse of the power and knowledge that comes through spiritual practice. So this is, I think, a very special one, because an alchemist isn't really one that like you see nowadays. Like it like makes me think of like old blue robe wizards.
Yeah.
But the core of it is like, do you believe you can turn things into gold? Like, whatever that means to you. I relate to this because I believe you can turn things into gold. Like, you just have to remember how. you know?
Yeah, definitely.
At least that's how I interpret it. And
Yeah.
why I love tarot and oracles and even before I really got into tarot, I was learning about these. I just love cards. I love the physical, tactile of the art and like the poetic things they say on them.
Yeah.
And I also like that everyone's going to read them differently because we interact with the stories we encounter throughout life through our own personal experience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So even if like you get a tarot reading with the same deck from another person, you're going to get completely different messages, even if you're asking the same question, because they're going to interpret it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Next is Virgin. And this, of course, is energetic, not like literal. Maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit, fear of intimate union. I'll let you look at it. It's such a pretty card.
It really is. Nah. No. I wish that, like, all of them
pretty.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I feel like when you don't resonate with something, it's always like, oh, I wish I had a little bit more of me and a little bit more of that in me. Like,
yeah,
it's like, or like, yeah.
Sometimes I'll put piles of like archetypes I don't have, but I'm attracted to.
That is what that is for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Knight. Yes. Loyalty, romance, and chivalry. A love of honor. Allegiance to a destructive ruler or principal. Romantic delusions.
Yep. Yep.
I think a lot of non-binary people relate to the Knight because it is like, it has the masculinity of like power of like tournaments and like sword fighting and riding a horse and going on quests and defending honor and like the romance and chivalry is like a very like feminine thing where it's like you're defending like the princess's honor.
Mm-hmm. And I resonate with that shadow of like sometimes my allegiance will blind me. Like,
yeah,
it's easy to be like, but I love them and that is my person and it's okay.
Even if you love them, they can make mistakes.
Yeah.
And that would make you a very good knight if you're like, hey, my liege, shizwag.
Yo, my liege.
King. Enlightened, benevolent leadership, benefiting those in your charge. Excessive feelings of entitlement, rulership without restraint. So compared to Queen, this is someone who is more masculine. I would say more structured. Usually masculine energy is something that's more like disciplined and regimented versus like flowy, more creative feminine energy. With the masculine and feminine cards, I always really like when people have both of them.
Yeah.
Like I had a friend who had Queen and King and Fool, and
what a well-balanced person.
They're so stunning. They're a striking person.
Yeah.
And extremely funny because of that Fool.
Yeah.
I think I said to them one time that someone who has such powerful opposite energies is someone who's very striking to see, but is probably very confusing to be inside of sometimes.
Yeah.
When they were a little stressed out.
I see the things that are the same, right? And I'm trying to like feel the differences. I think
they're very similar cards. The art is very similar.
They match.
They do.
I am going to do this.
Okay.
I felt like I was kind of waiting to see. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Martyr.
Yes. I'm going down for the cause.
The way I do my archetypes, except for the first time where I was like, okay, I gotta read what it says. But every time sorting after that is like boom, 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 because I just kind of like go by yourself. Feel.
Yeah.
Well, my ego. I know my ego. Learning the transcendent nature of service to oneself or a cause. Addiction to self-pity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Catholic vibes. Well, Christianity is a huge religion. A lot of people are like identify with it, and the hero of Christianity is Jesus, is a martyr. So like the best thing you could be is sacrificial, which I mean, it's romantic in a way, but
it's a great story. I don't think you should live your life like that.
I don't think you should force children to live their life like that. That's where I get hung up on it, with Catholicism especially. And I can say that because I was raised Catholic.
Yes.
I said in one of my earlier tarot videos that a lot of times, because I was raised with it and so much of the iconography is in my mind,
Right.
Catholicism comes up a lot of times in readings.
Yeah.
Usually for other people, and that's just how it goes. Okay, Samaritan. Another fucking Jesus one. Refines your capacity to help those you would prefer to ignore, exacting appreciation and recognition for the help you offer. There's a lot of helper cards. We already saw Liberator and Servant.
Yeah.
If I could hazard a guess, Caroline Mace probably has a ton of helpers
Yes.
in her archetype wheel. And so she is like, well, there's so many different kinds of helper energy. Where I'm like, well, there's so many different kinds of princesses.
Truly.
There's the runaway princess. There's
Yes.
the animals princess, like the nature child princess. Roguish princess. What else? I mean, Disney movies cover a lot of it.
I think this needs to happen because these give off not similar energy. Yeah, similar. I was feeling this when I looked at that. Let's just say that. Okay.
Very cool. Yeah, as you go through the cards and you like you get more precise with it.
Exactly.
We'll sort through them. That's why we go through it all at the end.
Yeah.
Mediator. Gift for negotiating fairness and strategy in personal and professional life. Respect for both sides of an argument. Negotiating with an ulterior motive or hidden agenda, either personally or professionally. Middle child vibes.
Oldest child.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we have to deal with the littles,
oh my gosh.
negotiating gets pretty handy. That one's that. Ooh. I feel that one.
I feel it when I'm reading tarot for people of like, especially if it's for someone I know. A couple times while I've been filming, I recognize the energy of someone in my life. And it's like, oh, I don't want to influence them. Like whether or not they themselves watch the video, it like reminds me of them. And I try to be neutral with it and just like read what the cards say without being like, well, I think you should do this, or like these are the specific messages I'm gonna say. Okay, Don Juan.
Interesting.
That felt weird to say. Don Juan. I was trying to do a joke and it fell flat.
It's okay.
Okay. I actually want to do Femme Fatale at the same time.
Okay.
So we can compare them. Where is she? If she's not in the deck, and like she's lost, there she is. Okay.
Ooh.
So they're very similar. Once again, it's like masculinity versus femininity.
Right.
I'll let you look. Did I read either?
You
of
did
these?
not read these.
Okay. Don Juan spotlights your positive, seductive qualities, using the power of romantic attraction for private agendas. And Femme Fatale highlights the erotic energy of the feminine, opens your heart when your dependency is rejected. Shadow, inappropriate use of sensuality, attachment to money and power. So a quick way to describe it is Don Juan pushes you onto the bed, Femme Fatale pulls you in. Is like the core of it, where Don Juan is a little bit more, I'm the one doing the chase, a little more powerful, more overtly powerful, because I think Femme Fatale is an extremely powerful image, and we have a lot of Femme Fatales in modern day media. I'm seeing the Batman trailer. The Catwoman is a huge Femme Fatale. The Bond movies have them. A lot of superhero women, whether they're villains or heroes, a lot of like comic book women are Femme Fatale.
Opens your heart when your dependency is rejected.
Yeah, it's a really interesting phrasing.
Yeah. What does that mean? Opens?
Let's see. Well, let's look at Catwoman, for example. So let's say she's like trying to get into like Batman's bedroom, and Batman,
I'm trying to enter the Batcave, baby.
The Batcave, and Robert Pattinson's like, no, I'm too sad. So there's the light, there's a couple ways for Catwoman to react. She could shadow, go like super evil and like hook up with, I think the Riddler is the bad guy in this one, or the Joker or whatever, and like try to take Batman down and like using her like sexy cat powers.
Did you ever read Lore Olympus?
No, I didn't. I started to, and I was like, I don't like this.
That's fine. Hades' girlfriend at the beginning. If you
Fatale.
got, she is that to a T.
I love it. The shadow, that was the shadow way. The light way for like, okay, my advances are rejected, I'm gonna respect that and still help you with the Riddler or whatever. And then like, oh no, it's Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. Does Catwoman have a girlfriend? Does Catwoman get a girlfriend? Dog girl.
Yes.
Puppy girlfriend.
Yay.
Some people have neither. Some people have one or the other. Some people have both.
I have this energy, but it's kind of like cause like
if you're bi and non-binary like me, I resonate with both of them.
Yeah.
And they come out like when I'm flirting with more feminine people, my Don Juan comes out a lot more.
Yes.
And when I'm flirting with more masculine people, I'm like, ooh, more teasy.
Please.
Like wanting them to take the
Definitely.
lead.
I think I'm just gonna put them both in maybe, and then we'll see later.
Here we go. Miser or Midas. Entrepreneurial or creative ability to turn anything to gold. Delight in sharing life's riches. Hoarding money and emotions. Obsessive fear of losing your wealth. Is an interesting one. It's like it's really the only money one.
Yeah.
In this deck.
Now it's like, okay, but how much of that is trauma responses?
The cause doesn't really matter.
That's true, yeah. I'm gonna go with
The same friend who had King and Queen and Fool, while we were playing with archetype cards, one day looked at me and said, "You are not what's happened to you." And I was like, what? And then I took Gambler and Addict out of my deck because I realized that was trauma response.
Yeah.
But even if it's like from trauma, it was still a main part of how I moved through the world.
Yeah.
So like I said, no judgment for any archetype and any reason why it goes in any particular pile.
We'll see.
We'll see. Healer. Passion to serve others by repairing the body, mind, and spirit. Ability to help transform pain into healing. Shadow. Taking advantage of those who need help, failing to care for oneself. And this is like the only medical one. Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah.
Yeah, a healer like with the vampire.
Yeah. Yep.
In my D&D game, our paladin has kind of like a thing with a vampire that we were supposed to kill and ended up saving.
Yeah.
And our paladin, it's like very sexy because it's
DM, they're sexy. I don't want to kill them.
Our paladin is very much like, like the sun and like righteousness, and he's like, well, he was like, okay, I don't want to kill you, but I can't let you out into the world like sucking people's blood, so how about once a week you take some of my blood and that'll be like the only blood you drink. I know, it's so sexy. We're like, oh my god,
let's do that. Let's do that.
So every so often in our session, like they'll be like, the DM will be like paladin, you like while the paladin's doing watch, will be like, you hear a whoosh and you turn around and Isabel's there, and everyone else is like, ah, like fangirling. Okay, orphan child. Okay. Independence based on learning to go it alone, conquering fear of surviving, feelings of abandonment that stifle maturation, seeking inappropriate surrogate families. Yeah.
Ouch.
I did not feel this one until recently in my life, and now it's like, oh, I get it. Guide. Represents the nature of the divine in life and in yourself. Places financial gain and control over imparting spiritual insight.
Nah.
Me neither. That's too much work.
So much energy.
Gossip. Awakens consideration for the feelings of others, honoring trust. Thrives on the power of passing on private or secret information, betraying confidences.
It's hard to not be like, ugh. Like, that
Right?
sounds really terrible.
Yeah, it is. Gossip has a negative connotation. I love gossiping.
It's really fun.
I mentioned this before in one of my archetype readings that are already on my channel. But I mentioned that Rachel McElroy, on the podcast Wonderful that she does with her husband, she talks about the benefits of gossip in a workplace. It relieves a lot of stress. It's a very like bonding thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe, for sure.
I don't know. It's definitely not one of my main 12.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to gossip to live, but it's definitely like a indulgence.
Yeah. Because in my experience, like, a lot of gossip has to do with something happened and I'm feeling a certain way and I can't go to that person about it. But I feel like when, like, it's because of this, like, healer thing in me that, like, I don't care what you tell me, and I'm probably not going to, like, go on and tell other people just because, but, like, I'm here to listen to all the gossip because that is fucked up, and I do want to hear what you have to say about that. Like,
That's really interesting to, like, oh, I resonate with this, but I think it's actually, like, because of this, or, like, seeing, like,
it's a different
the
aspect
roots.
of it.
Yeah, and if you're an actor or a performer of some kind and, like, you need to portray a certain energy, like, what are the archetypes I know I already possess that can chain me
Yeah.
to detective? Great powers of observation and intuition, desire to seek out the truth, voyeurism, falsifying information.
It's embellished. It's not falsified. It's an embellishment.
It's embellished. This is another one where it's like, that could never be me. That is so much work. I don't care I don't care what you're doing. I'm focused on me.
No,
there should be a narcissist. A narcissist archetype. Okay. This is the only card in my deck that is bent, and it's the Destroyer card.
Fitting.
Yeah, right? Releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for new life. Intoxication with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential.
No.
It's a very powerful one. This is Have you watched Mob Psycho?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's an anime, and it's by the same guy who did One Punch Man, and it's about this middle school kid who has psychic powers, and they're, like, super powerful, and it's a really cute, it gets dark a little bit anime, but I like it, but when he's, like, pushed to his limit,
I see, yeah.
they're like, they talk about how there's, like, it's almost as if it's something else deep inside him that's, like, where the power comes from, which is, like, super cool and scary, and, like, I feel like my, like, deep, like, prehistoric, primeval force that's, like, in my core is a destroyer. So it's not one that, like, I live with on the daily. It's more like I am been pushed to my limit, and, like, my prehistoric, like, gator instincts are coming out.
You mean like a volcano?
Like a volcano. Yeah. I'm a Taurus, which is earth, and at the very center of the earth is molten lava.
Yeah.
So the heart of earth is fire.
Yeah.
Okay. Monk/nun. Selfless devotion and single-minded dedication to spirit. Negative judgment of the physical world, excess piety.
I wish.
Really? It's like hermit mystic.
Yeah, I want to be more like, I used to say, like, if I could be a theater nun, I would. And just forget the world. I'm going to devote myself to this one thing that I'm so, like...
It is.
Everything.
It really, it's like... If you... There is a bit of, like, monastery vibes around theater companies.
Yeah.
Like regional theater companies, especially Shakespeare.
Right, they're like little...
Yeah, it is sort of like you're in a convent. That's a really funny way to think about it. Fool. Fearlessly revealing emotion, helping people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy. Using humor to wound rather than liberate, denial of your emotional truth. We've been listening to Bo Burnham.
Put it on.
If you need an example of what fool is, it's Bo Burnham. It is, yes, everything. Speaking truth to power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I had to have someone tell me I had this.
Yeah?
That teacher I was talking about.
Mm.
And she gave the example of Cordelia in King Lear.
Ooh,
and
yes.
she's like, you're a princess fool, where it's like, you're a princess, but you speak truth to power, and you're funny.
Yes.
And I was like, what, really? And then everything made sense, and I was like, oh, yeah, everything.
And it was a joke.
Oh my god.
It wasn't... It was being mean to you. I'm really sorry.
The thing is, okay, in middle school, like, I sometimes don't realize how mean I could be. Like, it was like, I didn't realize how powerful my words could be. And, like, especially, like, when I'm, like, 12 years old, parents going through a divorce, like, unmedicated, undiagnosed for everything, dealing with, like, being bullied, and, like, when, like, frustration comes up at another person, I would snap at people, and they would be very shocked. And then I'd be like, what? Other people say shit like that all the time.
Yeah.
Why was it suddenly coming from me? Now it's a problem. It's because I look like a princess. And I'm like, what? It's like, I see your shit. Okay. Exorcist. Freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. Fear of facing your own demons.
That's a maybe.
Yeah, this is... as I get older, I'm realizing, like, oh.
I was just thinking, or is that just growing up?
Well, I don't think it's just growing up, because there are a lot of fucking grown-ups that like...
Yeah.
Don't have this archetype, don't have this energy of, like, recognizing when there's a demon in the room and it needs to get out. Yeah. And then, like... Not like a soothsayer who can see the demons, but
is like, now we're going to do something about it.
He's got tools in his hand. He's got, like, feathers.
I love him. He's ready. He's prepped.
Child wounded.
Sorry, I saw that one, and I'm like...
This one?
No, I saw that one, and I'm like, yeah, that's me.
I love that. But you're like, I don't think I have king. You go straight to God.
Yeah, no. We're jumping. We're skipping.
I'll try.
That's because God is like a badass.
Let's just skip
bitch.
to it. We'll do child wounded. I'll put it back in the deck. Let me get goddess out.
Okay.
I like doing, like, the pairs at the same time.
Right.
Okay. So.
I like her.
We've got God. We'll do God first.
Okay.
Benevolence and compassion, recognizing the eternal force within yourself and others. Despotism? What's that word? Despotism?
Despotism.
Okay. Yeah, a despot. Okay. And cruelty, using power to control people. Goddess. The feminine expressed through wisdom, nature, life force, and sensuality. Exploitation of the female nature and form.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have this one for sure.
That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not really a pair because capital G-O-D is such a specific image in our society. Where goddess, I more think of, like, Greek goddesses.
Yeah, and those aren't on the same, like, yeah.
Yeah, I know there's, like, witches who, like, worship goddesses, and, like, I've communed, but it's not, like, the same level as, like, G-O-D from the Bible.
Yeah.
But yeah. Judge. Balancing justice and compassion, managing the fair distribution of power. Offering only destructive criticism, misusing business, legal, or criminal authority.
I resonate with that, but, like, yeah.
Tell me more about it.
Like, I'm a very, like, I guess you could have called me a social justice warrior back in the day, but, like, also with that, like, exorcist vibe of, like, I'm going to tell you, and, like, we're going to get it. Like, fairness is very important to me, and that managing that word was like, ooh, yeah, I'm very, like, I think I have the authority to make those decisions.
Well, like, of course you do. You are the authority.
I am the authority. But yeah.
Addict. Helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior. compromises integrity and honesty, allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit. Right? It's a heavy one. I like that it's the Femme Fatale.
Yeah. Just a little thigh for you. No. I also have some things in my past and my history that are like, something in me is like, yeah, that's you. But I also recognize that voice isn't me. And therefore...
Is that your judge?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So a judge is, if it's not inherent to you, like, can definitely be something you've learned from society, telling you, like, yeah, you're right, or something like that. Scribe. Preserving knowledge and information. Altering facts or plagiarizing others' work.
No.
Yeah, so...
That's a lot of work, too. It's something I care about, but not something that comes naturally to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Athlete. So I guess you could look at, like, a person you need on your team.
Exactly, yes.
That's great, too, for, like, what don't I have? And, like, who do I need to recruit for, like, a project or something I'm starting? Athlete. Dedication to transcending physical limits, including handicaps, development of personal willpower and strength of spirit, misuse of athletic ability for selfish ends, false sense of invulnerability, and entitlement. We see a lot of shadow athletes in American culture.
Yeah.
But, like, the light attribute is so, like, it reminds me of, like, knight. Like there's, like, an honor about it of, like, dedicating yourself to improving your physical body just based off yourself, and, like, healthy competition with you doing better than you did last time.
It's interesting. I would be the very last person to describe myself as an athlete, but...
I'm trying to get comfy. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I have to stretch my legs out.
I definitely... Again, I think this is resonant in other cards that, like, I'm going to overcome it. Like, but I am not. It's not so specifically focused on the physical. It has been recently because I've had some injuries and stuff that, like, this has been heavy on my mind. But I don't think this is necessarily inherent to my nature. It's the, like, that dedication and the I'm going to do it because I said I'm going to do it and it's going to happen. Unless, like, yeah.
Interesting.
But I love these kinds of people.
Yeah, they're so, like, motivational.
Yeah.
And they're, like, really, like, uplifting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of, like, yeah, you can do it, you know? The endorphins you get from physical exercise. There's something I wanted to say about it, but I forgot. So let's move on.
Okay.
Seeks solitude to focus intently on inner life, serves personal creativity, withdraws from society out of fear or negative judgments of others, refusing to help those in need. That's the Hermit. So this came up in an earlier tarot video that everybody, if you've been quarantined, has experienced Hermit. I remember what I was going to say. That, like, even if it's not something inherent to yourself, you might... Like you said, you have some injuries, and so you might use athletic energy to, like, help you through this part of your life. Like, if you want to get like witchy with it, like pulling the athlete card and, like, the strength card out of tarot and any of the knights cards from the minor arcana, and doing, like, a meditation or a ritual with them if you want to embody the energy. But right now we're doing inherent to you. In that vein, like, if, like, I definitely feel like a hermit because there's a pandemic and I've been quarantined for 2 years, but if you're not like that naturally, then you don't need to put it in the yes pile.
I'm gonna put it in the maybe. So much of this is hard when most of my life has been set in a school environment.
Yeah.
Because you can hermit all you want, but, like, in the next 8 hours, you're going to be in a building full of other people. Like, you don't have a choice. So, yeah, I have to think about that one a little bit harder.
All right, that's what the maybe's for. Rescuer. Provides strength and support to others in crisis. Acts out of love with no expectation of reward. assumes that the rescued will reciprocate, keeps the rescued one needy.
Put it over there. Okay. Next.
I know. Sometimes the cards read you.
Ouch.
Child eternal. Determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit. Ability to see things with fresh eyes. Inability to grow up and be responsible. Extreme dependency on others for physical security.
I want, like, part of me is like, oh, that's so you, but it's also just me being mean to myself.
Really?
Yeah.
Like seeing it as a negative thing, that it's
Yeah.
like, I'm not growing up.
Yeah. When it's because partially by force and partially just, like, at who I am, like, I'm a little mature for my age or whatever. But, like, I still see myself as very, like, young and very small and very, like, oh, you're never gonna grow up.
Okay,
Being
so
short
that's
doesn't help
something
with
you
that.
like. Something you like. Okay. If a card gets a response out of you, we
Yeah.
put it in the maybe so we
Okay,
can look
yeah.
at it later.
Yeah.
Like the slave card for me, it fills me with rage.
Mhm.
Like I get so angry at it. And so that goes in my maybe pile.
Yeah.
Because it gets a reaction on me. Like there's energy there.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured out that back to Catholicism, it was the fact that, like, since I was born, I was supposed to be a slave to the divine,
Right.
and that I hated it.
Yep.
But beggar. Confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem, dependence on others to the exclusion of effort.
Interesting. Not me, but I know some
It's
people
an
that are in
interesting
that. Yeah.
archetype, yeah. Trickster. This is someone I'm attracted to, and it fucks me over because they're a trickster. I also, when I started getting into magic, worked with the Fae a lot because it's energy I enjoy.
Yeah.
Trickster. Transcending convention, stuffiness, and predictable behavior. Manipulating others through duplicity. And now I've learned to put up way more boundaries with the Fae than I started with, and to not work with them in winter.
Truly. Let's see. Yeah, that's sexy energy.
Isn't it?
It is. I like a bad boy. It's okay.
It's Bo Burnham again.
It's a fucking scarecrow again.
It's a fucking scarecrow.
I'm so sorry if you don't know what we're talking about.
Me too, because you don't know who Bo Burnham is. You need to go listen.
Yeah.
Okay, priest. Facilitates spiritual commitments, serves as a channel of spiritual energy, violates the trust of your spiritual community, seduced by your own spiritual role. And then this, of course,
seduced by your own spiritual
Isn't it?
role.
especially if you're looking at like traditional priesthood where you have to be celibate,
Yeah.
there's that like weird, like sexuality is important, you know, like, but because of your celibate, and then like that's where we get like sexy priests and like
Yes.
like ooh, you're having an affair with a priest.
Yeah.
And there's something, I think, like, because of how taboo it is, then there's seduction there.
Yeah.
The way, okay, I'm talking about light and shadow. My little philosopher mind, because I'm a little philosopher. I'm a little alchemist philosopher.
I love it.
I believe that fetishes and kinks are society's shadow.
Ooh.
Not necessarily
okay.
that like they're all inherently bad because of what they are, but it's anything that is taboo in a society, then it becomes a shadow. We don't shine light on it. That's not
Right.
what we want to do in society, usually for a lot of good reason.
Yeah.
They're taboo for a reason, but there's this it's what Pluto energy is in Hades, which I feel like priest has big Pluto energy. It's this fascination with the shadow of well, why is it taboo? Let's explore it.
Yeah.
And that's where I really think that if you want to see what's really going on behind closed doors in society, you look at like fetish sites and like because I feel like fetishes like go up and down with trends depending on like what's going on globally, because it's how it's another type of play. Yeah. It's how we understand things.
And like sex as a whole is already like kind of a taboo, and like so it's easy to like, well, you're already here, let's just
what else can we do? Yeah. So it's a very, like I said, it's very seductive. Mm-hmm. The shadow is a very seductive thing. That's why vampires and tricksters are so, and I like that they have these like dark like purpley colors.
I resonate with the serving as a channel of spiritual energy, but not really anything else.
It's a very disciplined role. Let me pull out Mystic, which is way more, I would say, feminine, the way it's described. Here it is. When I corresponded these to the major arcana, I had Priest as the Hierophant and then Mystic as the High Priestess.
And I lean way more High Priestess than I do. Okay, this
more,
makes sense.
Like, loose, creative energy, following your intuition.
That was what I needed, Because I was like, but a little...
But a little left, a little to the left. Not really like a leader in a community who's like gonna give a homily, more like someone who's gonna dance in the moonlight and talk to the fairies.
Yeah.
The fair folk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me read it. Mystic. Rebels in intimate union with the divine. Shadow is delusional rapport with the divine.
Yeah.
And I'm a mystic, and all last year, and probably because of like where I was living, it wasn't very good spiritual energy. I think the land you're on because magic is so connected to nature.
Yeah.
Because that's the world we're in. But like I was constantly banishing things that were pretending to be deities and like other things, and like I did not connect to like any fae spirits where I was living last year, where I had connected to so many really beautiful fae energy the year prior to that, and I was living in a different part of the state, and like didn't have to deal with like any trickster energy, and I think that was part of like divine protection, that like I was just getting into spiritual awakening. And then last year was a big shadow year for me of like figuring out how to spot this, and then how to get rid of it and how to like not fall for it again, even though like I mean, you don't want spiritual tricksters. I think it's fun for people. I really like funny people. But yeah.
Yes, 100% all of that.
Cool. Child magical. Seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things, the belief that everything is possible. Pessimism, depression, and disbelief in miracles. I knew that was going to get you. Believing that energy and action are not required for growth.
Oh! Stop!
I'm sorry.
Well, we found my child card. I was kind of thinking, I was like, none of these are really...
It's this one for me too. Especially for theater artists. Like you like to say, I have a degree in playing pretend.
Yes.
You have to believe in magic a little bit if you're gonna play pretend on stage.
Yeah. Damn. That's the most called out I've felt this entire time.
Yeah, it gets you. And I feel like it's such like a gifted kid burnout card. Like as a kid, I was constantly like imagining playing pretend, reading so many books, like doing crafts, and then like growing up and seeing like the darkness of the world and like what's expected of you as a college student or whatever. You get pessimistic and depressed and you don't believe in miracles anymore.
It's not fun for that bubble to pop. And I feel like I'm finally coming back around to like, it is not what I thought. And that is okay. But that doesn't mean that this is not... They can both coexist. They're both true. Yeah.
Dialectical thinking.
Yes. Something I struggle with, but also am learning to get better at.
I did. Yeah, same. I've said it before on this channel, but I have BPD, and the therapy is dialectical behavioral therapy, which I was so happy to get a diagnosis and then try therapy that was so much more effective. Before I started that therapy, I was reading cards and I was getting so many, like, opposite cards and like the balancing cards. It was wild seeing like the imagery being like, oh my god, it's all the same, everything's all the same.
It's all the same.
And then like I would get sun and moon and like I can't remember the specific cards, but it was always like the imagery was like always mirrored, and like there was like this light and darkness, and I was like, what does this mean? And then I like see like my new therapist for the first time and introduced me to DBT, and it's like, oh, dialect, that's what it is, and that's my problem.
Yeah.
To call it a problem is like this black and white thinking, when in reality it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Because like the shadow only exists because there's light, you know? And it's all the same. It's just two different sides, and it's so like cosmic and such a heady thing to try to comprehend, and it's difficult for me specifically because of my personality disorder, but it's also very fun to wrap your head around, and part of growing up and healing from like that wounded childness of like, oh shit, like life fucking sucks and there's no such thing as magic, is realizing that like, okay, don't mind the train.
You don't get to black and white thinking this.
Yeah, like just because it sucks now doesn't mean it wasn't magical back then.
Yeah.
And like Rebel, this is definitely one of my main ones. Yeah. Okay. Challenges authority to effect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. Shadow rejects legitimate authority out of anger, rebels out of peer pressure or fashion.
Rebels out of fashion? Oof. I mean, didn't we all just collectively decide to hate Nickelback?
Right? I'm like, I've never heard a fucking song.
I've heard like the two, but you know.
I still rock out to Fall Out Boy. I'll stop wearing black when they make a darker color.
Yes.
Just because emo. But yeah, I was saying earlier, part of doing an archetype reading is also me as the reader bearing my archetypes to you.
Yeah.
To like help understand, and also like it's fun to talk about.
Yes.
There's a pine cone rolling on the deck outside the window that I keep thinking is a squirrel, but it's not. It's a pine cone.
Dionysus is here. Says hi.
That Dionysus, I had this trickster energy that latched onto me near the end of 2 years ago, and then like kept trying to be like, I'm Dionysus, and like I believed it for a bit. I was like, okay, well, I'm into theater, you know, I'm all about like releasing inhibitions in order to heal. But it was just some like earthbound trickster spirit that wanted like attention.
Yeah.
So I had a series of banishments to get. It was such sticky energy.
Period.
So go away, pinecone. Okay. Victim. This is one of the cards that everybody has in some way. I don't like putting it in unless it really is part of just who you are, for whatever reason. I don't really like putting it in like my main 12 or anybody else's main 12, because it's something, we are all victims at one point or another, and we all victimize others at some point or another, but it's good to explore. Let's see. Prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. Shadow is playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity. Inability to maintain personal boundaries. So this is, because I feel like this isn't really an inherent part of a human being.
No.
It's like a coping mechanism. It's a survival skill. You know?
Definitely.
So it can go in its own little pile.
Yeah.
Let me bring up the other two that are inherent. We've got...
This will be really good for, like, readings and stuff. But, like, if you're, like that energy is, like, really weighing heavy on you. And you're, like, you need to remember who the fuck you are.
Yeah,
and
you're not this.
Yeah. And I think that's, like, also a thing about archetypes is that, like you said, everybody's got all of them. And so remembering that you are not just this card and this is the only one that you get, or these are the 12 and
this is all you'll ever be.
Right.
No, that sucks. And sort of like the vampire, there's this playing the victim, and there's this sort of consent that comes with allowing yourself to be the victim, because like you said, you definitely have that choice of like, remember who you are, like you're all these other things that like make you strong and independent.
People don't talk about the consent of being the victim.
Yeah, because like positive feedback in the form of pity, part of it feels good. And that's why it's in the shadow. You don't want to shed light on that. But that is part of it.
True.
And that's for me a huge part of healing from trauma and like forgiveness, forgiving the person that I felt victimized me, and then forgiving myself for allowing myself to be victimized.
Right.
You know. And then the next one we've got Prostitute, and then Saboteur is one that we all have.
I love this art.
Isn't she pretty?
Goals.
Right? Okay, so the light attribute accentuates the challenge of surviving without negotiating the power of your spirit.
Hold on. Okay. I gotta read that one.
Okay.
Accentuates the challenge of surviving
without breaking
negotiating the power of your spirit. Okay.
Like, I think it was a tweet that said the first prostitute must have been so powerful. She just said, this pussy ain't free. You know, that is a very powerful position to be in. It's like, absolutely not. You have to pay me money.
Yeah.
But everybody sells themselves for something.
Truly. Yeah. You know? Welcome to capitalism.
Right.
And then the shadow I will be reading, places material considerations and security above self-empowerment.
I was living in the shadow of Prostitute while I was trying to make OnlyFans and Streammates work for me.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did it. I loved doing it for a while, but I stopped loving it, and I wanted to make money, and so I kept doing it, and it was burning me out, and so I've since stopped.
Also, definitely, like, everybody gets to this, like,
gets to like what will I sell out for, like,
right?
Like, you know, it's a very prevalent archetype in capitalist society, you know, where it's like everybody has to be selling something because you gotta make money because you gotta live.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes. If we were in a different society, it'd be different, but we're not. Saboteur. Everybody has an inner saboteur. Light attribute. Highlights your fear of self-empowerment and the changes it would bring to your life. Shadow. Induces self-destructive behavior or the desire to undermine others. Yeah.
Okay.
I should do a meditation with this, honestly, to be like, okay, where am I actually just sabotaging myself because I don't want to do the work?
Truly.
Or afraid of leaving a comfortable spot. I think I put this as the Hanged Man.
Ooh, okay.
Also because you're in a hot air balloon here and he's going to pop the bubble.
Yep.
I love this card. It's really never called to me before, but I love it right now.
It feels nostalgic to me.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I know them days.
I've been through them days. Pop that bubble.
It's something, but it is, and I think because it is something that I'm actively working on trying to not do, I'm diabetic, and I hate it. I hate taking my meds. But, like, I also know that they keep me alive. Yeah. So, like, you gotta do that. But, oof, yeah, definitely in the maybe.
I've heard someone talk about the upkeep for diabetes of, like, playing with it a little bit as a form of self-harm, even of, like...
Oh, yeah.
Not like, fooling yourself into thinking, I don't self-harm, and then, like, not taking, like, your insulin or whatever.
Yeah.
And realizing, like, wait, I'm, like, playing with my health a lot.
Yeah. You ever just want to take a little too much insulin just to feel that, like...
Just to feel something.
I'm so sorry that you're going to have to edit this later.
It's okay. You turned your head away.
Good. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm excited to edit this. Like, not even a joke. Companion. Soft card.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of my main ones, for sure, because okay. Companion. Loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness. Shadow. Betrayal by misusing confidences. Loss of personal identity. That's that BPD in there. Truth. Of, like, who am I if I'm not next to somebody?
Yeah.
Which sucks.
That's definitely going over there. Something I'm, you try to work through. Yay, therapy. It's like they just hand you a list of things you need to work on, and then they're like, great, okay.
A couple sessions ago, my therapist asked me at the beginning, what's working right now?
True.
And that was the session of, like, what's going good, which is so necessary especially for me, because I'm always trying to, like, get better. I'm like that pioneer. I don't think we've seen Seeker yet. I'm always trying to move forward and like get better because I'm not doing good enough. And then to like slow down and be like, okay, well, what is good enough right now? Okay, networker. Enhances unity through the sharing of information, engenders social awareness and empathy, conveys information only for personal gain, spreads fear and falsehood. Social media.
Yeah. Interesting.
I have no feelings about this card. Like I hate when I have to be a networker because this just is not natural to me.
That's fair.
If I'm building a team, I need someone else to fulfill this for me.
Engenders. Remind me what that word means?
I don't know. I'm using my phone to film, so I can't look it up.
I will look it up.
Your phone's over there.
Oh, hey.
I want to say, for context clues, engenders social awareness and empathy. So, like, makes room for this to happen is what I think it means.
Give or cause to rise. Okay, yeah.
Weird.
So it stirs up social awareness and empathy.
Lover. Great passion and devotion. Unbridled appreciation of someone or something. Obsessive passion that harms others. Self-destructive devotion. Yeah. A lot of artists have that.
Yeah.
So lover companion is really interesting.
Yeah. I'm definitely a little too selfless sometimes, and I get lost in the doing for other people that I'm like, but then when I do remember, like, oh, it isn't just about that other person. It's like, okay, yes, I am who I am. It's just that I lose that completely.
Yeah.
Like, all of that, like, fun God energy out the window. Like, I'm so quick to just be like, oh, but fuck me. Like,
yeah, whatever you need.
Yeah.
And it's, like, not to any detriment of that other person's character. Right. It's just, like, this is just part of who I am, apparently. And it's something I'm working on.
Yeah.
This is also, like, for, like, passion projects, too, and, like, art, and like, I will, and part of that's ADHD, but, like, I'll sit and do something for 8 hours because I love it.
Yeah.
You know, that could be a little bit of shadow of, like, obsessive passion. When Arcane came out, I'd never experienced that level of obsession before since, like, I was, like, a little kid of, like, I love this so much. Like, the story is so good. Everything about it is so good. Like, I could not get it out of my brain. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
And, like, it was a really big, like, shadow lover attribute of, like, this is harmful. I need to stop thinking about it.
I will love it to death. Yeah.
Okay. Father. Talent for creating and supporting life. Positive guiding light within a tribal unit. Dictatorial control, abuse of authority.
I want to look at that mother card again.
Yeah. I was going to say. The first one.
Okay.
I feel like father is an archetype that is very much in our society because it's a patriarchal society.
Yeah.
And maleness is seen as authority inherently. So it's got a bit of a different connotation than mother does.
I think I lean this way.
Some people have both.
That's true. Look at that again. It just makes me think of all of the father figures in my life, and I do feel like I've modeled my, like, who I want to be as a person very much after, like, really powerful father figures in my life, more so than the mother ones, but I resonate with both a lot, so that's why I'm gonna stick it here. I'm not I am.
Do you want to talk more about it?
I feel bad putting them both in there. Like, no, you have to pick which one fits more.
It's that black and white thinking. Yeah, they can both fit.
Yeah, that's fair. There's room.
We're gonna whittle it down to 12 later, and then you'll have to pick.
That's fair.
I think we said earlier, like, these archetypes might get a response out of us because of other people in our lives, and how this energy has shaped us.
Yeah. We're going to put it back here. I changed my mind. We're going to put it back here. Okay.
Heroine. Passion for a journey of personal empowerment. escapism, and a false sense of heroism. This is me. I put this as the strength card.
Yeah. This is that, like, that athletic energy I was talking about. Because it's just like that, like, I can do better, I can keep going.
Yeah, and it's not specifically physical.
Right. And that escapism. And I definitely, part of that God complex in there is, like, I'm the main character.
Yeah.
And just that, like, I have to save. Like, it's my job, it's my responsibility, it's my duty. Older child syndrome.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I don't, then who will?
There's a song, I found it on TikTok, and then it came up for Spotify for me, called Oldest Daughter. And she's saying, I'm back on my oldest daughter bullshit.
Yep.
Yeah, and I cannot listen to that song. I'm not the oldest, but it's too much.
Yep.
Okay, warrior. Strength, skill, discipline, and toughness of will. Heroism, stoicism, and self-sacrifice in conquering the ego.
Nope.
Let's read shadow.
Yeah.
Trading ethical principles for victory at any cost. Indifference to the suffering inflicted on
This
others.
is my sister to a T.
Whoa.
This is my younger sister.
Just loves fighting.
Like, yeah! she's so, like, everything that we are complete opposites. But this is her to a T. Yep.
That is really funny, because the pairing, like, the difference, I don't want to completely change the order of your pile, but these two you are similar but different in that Knight has chivalry and loyalty and has a cause or a royal person they're fighting for, and we're warrior, like, you could also call it, like, mercenary, of, like, you'll fight for anything because you like fighting.
Yeah.
This was, like,
Your favorite.
I hate this one. I put it as the devil, because the devil's all about chains.
Yeah.
Okay, slave. Surrendering your power of choice to the divine with complete trust. Boo!
Don't do it.
And that's so subjective from me, the reader, and like this might be something very healing for some people. Back to kink, like BDSM, like being submissive, just completely surrendering your will to someone else is very, like, relaxing in a way for some people. For me personally, it fills me with rage.
Yeah. And I've always been very interactive, and, like, spirituality for me has to be something, it is an action that is done, right? It is not something that you can passively
let happen to you.
Yeah, and I'm like, I question everything. Like, even I'm, like, arguing with my tarot cards, like, but are you sure?
Yeah.
But are you sure? But have you thought about this?
Why are there 3 towers in this deck? Whoa, I just keep drawing the Fool over and over again. But, like, I have Rebel and Princess in my deck. I'm not going to have Slave.
Yeah, no.
But let's read the shadow. Giving your willpower to an external authority out of fear of making your own choices.
And I've definitely been in this, but even when I was in that,
fighting against it.
It was horrible.
Yeah, it's so...
It went against everything in my being to be like, I cannot do this with you like this anymore. I'm going to end up killing you.
Yeah, right? Destroyer is gonna... Yeah, this is what triggers my destroyer.
Yeah.
It's like, this is so opposite of what I believe to be good that I have to destroy it. And it's like awakening that primeval power.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
So many cards.
It's a lot.
I'm having a good time, though.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be a long video, and I'm okay with that. This is my little scribe is coming out. I'm like excited to edit. Like, I'm excited to like sit down and like find like the ebbs and flows of the conversation. So that's another example of scribe. Like, if you like editing or like coding, there's more modern archetypes that she's added to her website that aren't in this deck. I would love to have like a second edition of these cards, like hacker and zombie.
Ooh,
you know, are like big archetypes in modern culture that I would love to have. Anyway,
hacker voice, I'm in.
That was Catboy voice.
Yeah.
Okay, angel, helping those in need with no expectation of return. Acting innocent or angelic to mislead others, falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic guidance.
So when I did my OnlyFans and streaming, Angel was my my whole cover. It's been a long-standing... I've always, like, believed in angels, even when I was, like, iffy about God, I was like, there are forces that loom and guide and are like, yeah.
A lot of like witches or mystical people vibe with that celestial energy. I feel like there are some either tricksters posing as celestial energy or actual angels that are trying to get through to me, and I always say no to them.
Yeah.
Just because of my past with Catholicism of like, there is something it is just so inhuman.
Yeah.
And uncaring. And like, when I really meditated or prayed on the angels, like they're warriors, there's always like battle imagery in the Bible about it, and like it's so much more big picture. And like, I don't know, like maybe one day I'll work with it and any angelic spirit guides. But even as I say that, I feel like that's not right. Like
no.
I feel like it's trickster energy trying to come through. But that's me personally.
Yeah. Acting innocent.
Yeah.
Hush. I am innocent.
I'm innocent.
I
Do you have we did have Princess come in. We haven't gotten to Damsel yet.
Yeah.
Bully. Highlights your tendency to intimidate others. Helps you confront the inner fears that bully you. Conceals deep fears behind verbal or physical abuse. So this is another very negative connotation card. But like I was saying earlier, like those like self-care, skincare ads are bullying you.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to sell you a product. I hate that CeraVe one that's like, hey, it's your skin. I'm dry. Like, shut up.
Yeah, hush.
Shut up.
Okay,
sorry.
My very best friend is, like, and I love them. They are my best friend, but
there's some bully energy.
It can come, and it comes. Sometimes it can come from being bullied. You're like, the cycle continues or whatever.
You're like, you're tough.
Yeah.
I would say, if you're like a personal coach, is a bully, and that's like a positive way to like channel this energy. Also an exorcist.
Yeah.
If you are exercising something and you've got bully energy, use it. Like, get out of my house.
Yeah. Because they are definitely one of the people that is like bullies me out of my own, like when I'm down on myself.
Bullshit.
It's like, hey, that's my best friend you talking about. You can't talk about them like that. And like you said, like these are things that I don't have, but I seek out in other people because like, but then I'm like over here like, let's be emotional and sensitive and like
They're probably so happy that you are. I have a friend who's a little bit more like this, and she's told me multiple times that like, she's so grateful whenever I cry. She's so grateful for the fact that I'm emotionally vulnerable because she feels like she has to be cold all the time.
Yeah.
And tough like this.
Yeah.
And so it's like, thank you so much for saying that because I feel like a mess.
Because I feel like I'm doing it too much. Like,
and it's all about balance. You know? All right, storyteller. Light attribute. Ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. Making up tales that harm others. This is a card that I've always passed over before, but is now like speaking to me.
Yeah,
I think it's just because I'm into teal right now.
This is a pretty color. Ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. I like almost exclusively think in metaphors. Like it's always, this is like when something else happens. Yeah, because guess and check. Like, is this thing like something else I've experienced?
Poet vibes.
Yeah. And I like, theater artists. It's going to be in there. I'm interested in that, making up tales that harm others. I had a big lying problem when I was a kid. Really? Not even over anything like really important.
Just to do
just
it.
Just cause like, I don't know, like it was happening. It was coming out of my mouth, and then we had to go with it.
Our friend, one of my boyfriend's friends that I met through him, had a compulsive lying phase. Like, and he talks about, he was like, I don't know. It just happened. I just did it. Like, just because I could. And, like, I feel that. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Teacher. Ability to communicate knowledge, experience, skill, or wisdom. Manipulating or abusing students, teaching negative traits and destructive skills. You talked about earlier, like, as a young person, like, we've been in academia since, like, we were little and have only recently come out of it. And so teacher, as well as student, which is in here still, has a huge impact. Like, teachers are some of the main authorities in your life when you're growing up.
Yeah.
And they can really fuck you up if they're shadowed.
Mm-hmm. I resonate hard with that one. Yeah. Oh, these are going to be so hard to go through.
It's okay. We can take a break.
Okay.
We should take a break before we try to narrow them down and let it marinate. Mentor, another teacher one.
Mm.
Passing on wisdom and refining a student's character. Inability to allow the student to move on to the role of master, imparting false instruction.
Interesting. Okay.
So I would say it actually sounded like you were going to say something, so I'll let you go first. Manipulating
or abusing students, teaching negative traits and destructive skills. Inability to allow the students to move on to the role of master, imparting false instruction. I like this taking under the wing. It's a classic mentor. So for me, right? In this, you know what you want out of the other person, right? Like you out of the person you're mentoring, it's like, I want this for you and I want you to,
it's very specific.
Right. Whereas like, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
I can give you what I think is the best at that moment. And sometimes I'm wrong. And sometimes I'm trying to help you in a way that
ends up
comes from fear or whatever. Yeah.
It's also more like specific versus broad. Like, this is like someone you would be an apprentice under, or you're learning a specific craft. Like, this is more like grad school energy. And it's more like you mentor one person at a time versus a teacher. You just like explaining things to people and like teaching.
And I do. It's just I'm constantly in teacher mode, and it pisses people off. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I'm not sure. I don't have very many feelings about this. Messiah. Serving humanity with humility. Exaggerated belief that you are the only means through which a cause can succeed. Straight white man.
Yeah. Wow. This gives me feelings, but not because it's like in me. I'm just like, wow.
It's an evocative card.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of like Christian imagery in this deck. Yeah, that's way too much. Damsel, this is my shadow, my biggest shadow, I would say, and I would always get cast as a damsel archetype because that it is part of who I am, and I would look very much like a damsel. But I don't like being in this energy for too long because I also have like knight and alchemist. It's like I hate feeling this powerless.
Yeah.
But light. Understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself. Waiting for a knight to provide for you. Seduction by romantic illusion. Like that's like my whole like teenage HUD and like how to grow up and like all my like heartbreak mistakes and like my inability to form like healthy relationships for a very long time.
It's we're together now, so we're gonna be together forever, and like,
and if you leave, I'm gonna throw myself out of the No, it was never like that, but the vibes were there.
The vibes were there, yeah.
And also having a mental illness that I was unable to express to anybody. I felt very much like Rapunzel, like trapped I was in this tower that like trapped, and like I need someone to save me. And a very beautiful part of this journey is realizing that like I save me. I am my own knight. I save myself. I cut off my hair and I climb out of the tower.
Yeah.
And so that's the lesson in Damsel.
Oh,
and like I feel attached to it, but in a nostalgic way where it's like this is no longer like my main archetype.
Same. And being in a really healthy relationship has like like specifically the seduction by romantic illusion that, like, with my partner, we don't have to...
She kind of looks like your partner.
She does!
That red hair.
I'm going to send a picture to my partner. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, this resonates deep within me.
Yeah, it's a very, especially if you are, like, a princessy person.
Yeah.
You do feel like a damsel sometimes. Like, when, and then you choose to become, like, rebel, knight, rogue, you know, and, like, I'm gonna run away. I'm wear breeches. Yeah, it's something I've written a lot of poetry about.
Definitely.
That would be a fun... Okay, I just got an idea, and I love having them because I'm a seeker, and I love new ideas, and I'm a visionary, and a poet, of a series of poems about my damsel journey.
Ooh.
You know?
Publish a book.
I really do want to eventually publish my poems, but we were saying earlier that, like, writing was really, like, the only way I could express really difficult emotions, and so writing in general, even if I'm trying to, like, journal about something good that happened,
it puts me in a place, man. It like, takes me to the sunken place.
It takes me to the sunken place. It guides me through the valley of the shadow of death. Like, and I don't always want to be there. I don't want to be a tortured artist all the time, especially, like, because I'm getting so much better and, like, in a healthy relationship. I can't just, like, write for 4 hours and then come out, like, with a black cloud around my head.
No.
So I don't know, but maybe something with, like, structure like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, student. Humility and devotion to knowledge, openness to lifelong learning, arrogance in the pursuit of destructive knowledge, unwillingness to translate knowledge into action.
Yeah.
Like, we've been students for, like, most of our lives.
Yeah. Oh, what? These shadows, like, because...
They get you, right?
They do, because it's, like, they're not... They're shadows. It's like, oh, I never think about that because I'm, like, not trying to, you know?
The light doesn't shine on it.
Yeah.
That's why I love archetypes, because it helps you, especially, like... It helps me contextualize, like, why I do certain things or feel certain ways, or and other people too, like, for people that, like, I don't get along with or just, like, don't understand. It helped me so much being like, oh, like, they, like, for example, like, they have, like, athlete or queen archetype and I don't, or they have judge and I have rebel, and it helps me, like, not get mad at people.
Yeah.
And also helps me fall in love with people. Like, I love reading archetypes. I'll always read somebody's archetypes. It doesn't matter how tired I am. I will always do it because, like, I didn't know so many of these things about you. And, like, I could have talked to you for, like, a year straight and never have really known.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting so much closer to you just by, like, this conversation.
Another thing I love, and, like, the shadow of witchiness becoming more mainstream is the fact that young girls aren't allowed to enjoy fucking anything. And now you're a basic bitch if you read tarot, and it's like, what fucking ever. I love tarot because it is fun for one part. The physical, tactile sensation of the cards I love.
It's pleasing.
It's pleasing. And it's such a bonding experience with your friends to be talking about, like, these parts of our lives and our psyches, and, like, this happened to me and I feel this way, and, like, these are other people in my life, and it helps you really tell the story of your life in a much deeper way than without it.
Oh, this is gonna help with my memoir, like,
right?
tenfold.
And, like, I would have never, like, I've had that thought about, like, that damsel feeling, and I've had that thought to myself of, like, oh, I saved myself, but I probably would never have thought, like, you know what, that would be a great thing to write a series of poems about.
Right.
Especially because I was, like, in my tower writing poems about being locked there.
Yeah.
And now that I've definitely come out of it, like, I would never have thought of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Wounded child. This is one of my children that I have in my archetype wheel. Awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children. Opens the learning path of forgiveness. Blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds, resists moving on through forgiveness. This is one of the heavy ones. And to have it...
Who doesn't?
And for me, these were so connected.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it underneath for now, because I want to look at her.
Yes.
And not trauma. Okay. Advocate. Inspires you to put compassion into action, embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain. So, I read these for one of my friends during the BLM movement, and we were out on the street like every day, and so our advocate archetype, even if it wasn't in our main 12 wheel, came to the surface, and I feel like as political events happen, and like with the war in the Ukraine going on, a lot of people, this is rising to the surface.
I definitely recognize this in me, but I have such a hard time. It's like when the process of like wanting to do something and actually doing it is hard. Like once I'm actually doing it, it's go time. It's fire. We're on it. But
Aries.
like getting to that point of actually making the action happen, I get like real hung up on a bunch of other stuff, and it's like I want to, but I but yeah. Interesting.
Yes. Divine child. Innocence, purity, and redemption suggests a special connection with the divine, an inability to defend oneself against negative forces. I would,
Okay.
This one tripped a lot of people up when we were learning it, because it's like, what does this even mean? And it's like baby of the family vibes.
Yeah.
/ only child vibes, where it's like you were wanted and you came into the world knowing you were wanted.
Yeah.
It's like the exact opposite of orphan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel neutral about it right now.
I do see my youngest sibling in this.
Yeah. Of like, I'm the baby and everyone loves me.
And like, how freeing it must be to never feel like to not worry about feeling worthy.
Yeah. And
ooh, that's gonna make me cry.
that was so deep. And like, every child deserves to feel this way, you know? Okay, that made me sad.
Sorry.
No, you didn't. Just the energy. All the child cards are very heavy because no one's childhood is perfect. We're all dealing with whatever we went through. But Prince, romantic charm and potential for power.
Yeah.
Using power for self-aggrandizement.
The thing about Prince to me is that you are next in line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the pressure isn't on your shoulders, but
It's
the
coming.
pressure of the pressure is on you from birth.
Yeah.
Like, and I resonate with that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You are so interesting with because you put princess in medium.
I put princess in maybe
to prince and damsel and knight, like, and all these things together. I like whenever the royal archetypes come out, just because they're so easy to envision because they're in so many stories, and I really love when multiple royals come out in a pile. It's just cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Dilettante. Delights in the arts without having to be a professional. Alerts you to the danger of becoming superficial in your pursuits. Pretension to much deeper knowledge than you actually possess. I feel that way. I feel
That's
like
my partner.
Really?
Yeah. I love you, baby. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Avenger. Desire to balance the scales of justice. Righteousness on behalf of society or oneself. Resorting to violence in the name of a cause.
Okay, so this is that energy that I was feeling for Judge, but I was like but yeah, this is some Batman energy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I don't know, if we're gonna like tell a story, right?
Let's do it.
You have to find a way to get yourself out of the tower, right? And
yes.
Remembering who you are and like, okay, I know I'm in this situation. I understand, like, and like back to the like the consent and victimhood and all of that. You've got to become the kind of person like a rebel or an Avenger, or you get to the
that
point
will light that fire.
where you're like, we gonna handle this.
Yeah.
We gonna do it.
That made me think of Beyonce saying, me and my baby were gonna be okay.
Yeah.
That line gives me chills. Okay. Gambler. I still feel very drawn to this card.
Mm-hmm.
This, I think, is still in my 12. Willingness to follow intuition. Yep, even when others doubt you, 100% will follow my gut to the end of the earth. Shadow, relying on luck rather than hard work.
It's gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna work out.
Because it has to.
My partner hates this about me.
Really?
Yeah. Well, not like hate, but like, it's like trying to come at something like practically sometimes. And I'm like, yeah, I see that. And I've calculated that risk. But it's gonna be okay.
And then it isn't, and you're like, but I'm bad at math.
You shouldn't have let me make the calculations. Definitely sometime, maybe.
There was one night, it hasn't happened since, but there was one night, me and my partner were playing the board game version of Oregon Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the game is you roll dice to determine certain things. And I felt, I have some trouble seeing things, but I have seen things before, but I it's more like I can feel and like see the area where it is.
Yes.
And like
people don't get that. They're like, what do you mean you see it? I'm like, I don't see it, but I see
it's there.
Yeah.
And sometimes sometimes I'll see it,
mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh my god. And I feel like sight is like a skill. Like if I was like drinking mugwort tea all the time and like really like working on my sight and like planting violets,
mm-hmm.
yes, I would be seeing things, but it's scary and I don't want to see something.
Yeah.
But there was one night where it was like this much space, a little fairy creature that it was the spirit of the dice, basically. It was a little gambling energy,
mm-hmm.
a little like really fun, cute, and like I knew it was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to it in my head, and I was like, give me a 6 for this roll, please. And when I knew that like not every dice roll is going to be a winner,
mm-hmm.
I knew like, okay, this is a point in the game where it's okay if we get a bad roll.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything to Joey because he's not really into that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew what the dice number was going to be every single time.
Wow.
It has not happened since, but I knew it was like it's a winner, it's a loser, and like it's okay that it's a loser, or like please be a winner, and like yes it is, you came through for me. And like I have not felt them since. We played the same game and it did not work out the same way. It was just mm-hmm. something about that night. There was a little face sprite that was like having fun mm-hmm. and enjoyed the fact that we were rolling dice.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's my gambler story. Engineer. Ability to give creative energy a practical expression. Talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas.
Okay.
Reliance on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences.
Ooh, so in my partnership, we call this product over process. That's when you're doing something and you're more worried about getting the thing done than how you did it. Like,
yeah.
Because sometimes it's like you're just so focused on like doing the thing that you forget that like, hey, I could have said that nicer, or maybe I shouldn't, like we should find a different way to solve this problem.
That's a really cool way to think about that.
I hate his lips.
Yeah, it's a challenging portrait for sure.
We're gonna do this, but we're also gonna do that.
Oh my god, poor engineer.
It also is giving like Putin vibes.
Okay. Not for me, but like I can see how you see that. He's in a computer engineering class zoning out is the face I get off of that. That's really interesting.
I resonate.
I was gonna think you were gonna talk about like your theater technical side.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And like, for as touchy-feely as I can be, if I'm not connected to that part of myself, I compartmentalize a little too hard sometimes. Yeah. And it's like all this wonderful things that I am capable of feeling and working through and talking with other people, it just gets tossed out the window, and I am like, but we're doing, get it done. What?
The task we were doing, the task that is more important than anything right now because
Truly.
It is task. Yeah, that's how I am at work, where it's like, I'm gonna open all these cardboard boxes and then I'll talk to the person that needs help. Seeker, him, who I've been talking about this whole time. Thirst for wisdom and truth wherever they are. Yes. Inability to commit to a path once found. Bardic energy.
Bardic energy. Got bardic energy. Definitely a maybe. Okay. Definitely a maybe.
Poet. Yeah. Poet has definitely been in my shadow, as I've been talking about, and it really is part of how I identify. Like when I'm like really like, okay, who am I? Because I get, you know, my BPD identity crisis every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
I'm like, wait, who am I? Okay. I remember like my poet soul, but expresses soul insights in symbolic language, turns a lyric gift into negative or destructive effect.
Let's see. A lyric gift to negative or destructive. Words are powerful, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Last one. Best for last, artist. Expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the 5 senses, inspiring others to see life symbolically. Using talent as an excuse to mistreat others, posing as the starving artist to elicit pity. That first line, so many fucking artistic directors in theaters.
Yep.
or just directors.
Period.
Like mistreating everybody for the sake of this fucking crucible or whatever.
Right.
Like, doing old ass show worse than it's ever been done before. But like, what is life without art?
Truly.
And any kind of art.
Yeah, this is big director energy. Just that, like, yeah.
Like, no, just because we're making art doesn't mean it has to hurt.
Yeah.
You know?
I resonate with this because there are so many people in my life that are like this. And when I do the who am I, what am I definitely see myself as an artist, but not, it comes from a much more structured place and less of like.
Well, you've got engineer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm way more touchy-feely about it, I'm way less touchy-feely about it. Like, I don't know. Sometimes, like, I don't get abstract art sometimes. Yeah. I'm like, I get it. Like, it's supposed to.
Yeah, this behind him.
Yeah, literally. I'm like,
Squares.
Yes. And I have enough empathy and compassion to feel for it, but it's because I'm putting myself in the artist's place and not, like, yeah, I'm connecting with the person and not so much with the art itself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
Let's take a break and then come back to it and we'll sort through them.
Okay.
Okay, so we narrowed down the archetypes to 12, and would you like to give us a tour?
Sure, I will scoot them all down a little bit. Okay. I'm realizing they're not quite
a little bit over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
You're really good at it. You make it look easy. All right.
Thank you.
So, I don't know, not chronological, but like starting from like the inside out. I feel like your childhood really like is the first bits of you, you know? Yeah. And I definitely resonate with like the orphan child or the wounded child and the magical child, and that like disillusionment we kind of talked about. And like I definitely feel like wounded children find other wounded children, and we like, you know, band together. And some of the other ones that I was considering were like healer, and that energy definitely concentrates to other people that I find that are like me, and then that same like. If you know, you know, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely.
We talked about this. I can be a little overly analytical sometimes, and just that, like, even in this, I had to like create a system to get through it in my brain. Being in theater chooses you. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And like. That is one of the things I enjoy most about theater is the like just pure service to something bigger than myself, even if that thing is not God. It is a production or a piece of art or whatever. I am a social chameleon, very much the projecting the image, like whatever my mind is on, that is what is the reality. And I kind of talked about that a little bit with this. Like if like the empathy is turned off and I'm not thinking about it, if it's not the thing in front of me, like it kind of all gets tossed out of the window and I get really brainy about stuff sometimes. The top row is kind of like things I already knew about myself a little bit, and like just very, these were easier, right?
Yeah. And you went with father.
I did. Guide also really spoke to me, and I also have like the feminine queen energy, but yeah, it just spoke to me. Let's just like that. Okay. The knight, yes, all of this like chivalry and romance. I decided to go with knight and princess as opposed to prince. I felt like that really connected with me. And this kind of, let's do this. These three all kind of play together, being the royals. And they're like, that's that feminine masculine lines for me, is how that shook out.
I just realized that there's a heart.
Oh, the lover. Speaking of lover, I definitely am one. This like hyper romanticized, like sometimes I be living in my own delusions, like, and I am firm on it. Like that is real to me. So like when this bubble popped, that was all or nothing. Yeah, it's like, great, the world is broken. These three I kind of feel are like more of like, okay, who are you in relation to other people as well? Like, I am a teacher, I am a lover, I am a mediator, and these were like, out of all of the cards that are kind of like that, these are the ones that spoke to me the most, and that they hit close to home. Yeah, like this was that kind of like the judge that I resonated with, is the gift for negotiating fairness and strategy in personal and professional life, and the respect for the both sides of the argument. I'm not completely delusional, but I do want to hear everything.
No, I don't think you are.
The one that you had written for your one of these blank ones, the lunatic, that was also very, I felt that one.
I didn't put it in the deck because I had made it. But,
that's fair.
Yeah, I feel the lunatic energy a lot too.
Yeah, but thank you so much for doing this with me.
You're welcome. This is so much fun. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like or leave a comment down below. Like I said, let me know any archetypes that really spoke to you. That'd be really cool to see what you guys think. And if you would like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. I am hoping to put out at least one video per week, but like I said in my previous video, this is still pretty new to me, so I don't have a set schedule yet. But thank you so much for watching. Bye!